A little over a week ago, the Catholic Church finished a conclave and elected a cardinal to be pope. He was born Robert Francis Prevost in September 14th, 1955, and he's now the head of the Catholic Church and the sovereign of the Vatican City. Interestingly, he is the first pope from the United States, but he is the second consecutive pope from the Americas, as Pope Francis was from Latin America. And also, he is a dual citizen of the United States and Peru. And I don't know how this is going to work, as there is no way for a United States citizen to lose their citizenship as of right now if they're natural born. Um, but there is something in the Constitution, I believe, that states that you cannot be a monarch of another country. And if you can't be a monarch, you really probably shouldn't be in charge of the Catholic Church and the Vatican because the Vatican is an absolute monarchy. He has been a priest since 1982. He was consecrated as a bishop in December of 2014 and created cardinal only 2 years ago in 2023. He's a cardinal deacon and a cardinal bishop as of right now, as of previous. But now he, of course, is Pope, Bishop of Rome. Bishop of Rome is, of course, what they are. Now, interestingly, about this is very, very, very interesting. I do believe that he will help with a lot of the things that Pope Francis was working on. He stated that he believes that you don't need to go out and preach the gospel. You need to go out and show people the love of Jesus Christ, which that is something that I think is very important. As Jesus in the gospel, I am not a Christian or a Catholic. I was raised Catholic, but I have read the entire Bible, and Jesus in the gospel is a very, very good man. He practices his faith very well, and he always helps the sick and the poor and the elderly and the needy, including bringing several people back to life. He feeds 5,000 with the bread and fishes. The Sermon on the Mount is one of the most important things in I believe in Western culture, because of how it teaches you to treat others better. And so Pope Leo is going to work towards having the Catholic Church, instead of being someone who evangelizes like Protestant churches in America do, their mission will be to go out and do charity and do the actual work of Jesus. Pope Leo is actually a fan of the Chicago White Sox. Now, the Chicago Cubs claimed him first, but the White Sox had a picture of him from the 2005 World Series. Actually, a video of him from the 2005 World Series with Joe Buck talking, um, which is actually pretty cool. You never know when you go somewhere. You never know. You might be sitting next to the next pope or president. You never know. You really never know. I wonder how Kevin McAllister feels knowing that he's in a movie with with a president of a two-time president of the United States. We're not going to get into that. But interestingly, other fun facts about this pope and being from Chicago is Chicago produced a pope faster than they produced a 4,000-yard quarterback, as the Bears have yet to produce a 4,000-yard quarterback. Um, it took fewer days for Pope Leo to be selected than it did for Shedeur Sanders to be selected. It took Shedeur 3 days, and it took Pope Leo 2. Um, I also find it really interesting that a lot of people are finding out that the Catholic Mass is like structured, which is weird to me because Mass is structured. Mass is a ritual. You go to Mass, you do you do a reading from the Old Testament, you do a reading from the New Testament. There's the Eucharist. There's a homily. There's specific readings every time. I don't remember the exact order of the Mass. There's the sign of peace. There's the peace be with you and with your spirit now. It used to be, and also with you. It changed after I left the church. I'm interested to see people learning about Catholicism. One thing for Americans is that there are a lot of Protestants in America. Where I live, there are not. Where I live, the majority of the religious population is Catholic, because Irish, Polish Catholics came over here over the last 200 years. And I think that's really cool. But Protestants do not think that Catholics are Christian. Um, and Catholics think that they are the one true Christian church. So that's going to be interesting to see. Uh, the Pope told J.D. Vance that you don't need to rank the people you love, which I think was interesting. I do want to see if this administration ends up doing something like declaring themselves the anti-pope. Um, it's a lot. It's a lot. I do think that he is going to be a good pope. He's 69 years old, so popes have good medical care, obviously, as heads of state. If he lives to the age of Pope Francis at his death, which was 88 years old, he would be pope for, so 69 to 70 is 11, or 69 to 80 is 11 plus another 8. He would be pope for 19 years until the mid 2040s, until 2044 actually. I can see that happening. I can see him living longer. You never know with a pope. Popes also have the ability to resign. Um, he went to Villanova for his original degree, which I think is really cool. Where is his education? He went to Villanova, and he is a missionary who worked in Peru. Um, Now, missionaries from the Catholic Church are not what you think of with a traditional missionary. When you go with the Catholic Church, a missionary goes there to try to make the community better. Yes, they want to spread the gospel, but they spread the gospel by working with the words of Jesus. He is. He also apparently stood against the Marxist Leninist Maoist guerrilla organization Shining Path. That's something interesting that I'll have to look into. I think he's going to be a really good pope. I also think he's very educated. Now, he has had some views on LGBTQ folks that have been less than stellar, but you have to remember that the Catholic Church is one of the most conservative things in the world. So you can't expect him to be perfect. He's also 69 years old and grew up in Chicago, so he may or may not. We'll see. We'll also see if he wants to do anything to make changes to Vatican II. I doubt he will because Vatican II is something that a lot of the Catholic Church heavily believes in. Um, I know that there are some people who want to go back to a pre Vatican II thing with the Mass in Latin and everything. I just. I don't see that happening because how do you um, how do you actually spread the gospel if you're speaking in Latin in mass? You don't. So yeah. Anyway, I'm really happy for Pope Leo. I'm really happy for Chicago. I'm really happy for America to actually get a pope. I do want to see what ends up happening. I have seen some people say that Americans would never be the pope until they were no longer a political hegemony, and I'm waiting to see how that goes. But good luck, Pope Leo.
And again, thank you for tuning into the videos. Don't forget that you can also see me on Patreon at Sammy5436, where it's $1 a month. I also am seeable on Instagram at Sammy5436. TikTok at Sammy5436. I'm on Blue Sky at Sammy5436, though I don't use that often. I believe I'm on Tumblr at Sammy5436, but I haven't used that in at least a year. And you can find me at my business email, thetrapezoidtalks5436 at gmail.com. Any information you need to send to those business emails will be looked at. I generally look at my business email on Wednesdays and Sundays, so just do be advised that I do not always have the ability to respond immediately, but if you do send an email to my business email, and as long as it's not offensive, I will respond if it's something I'm interested in with something positive, and if it's something I'm not interested in, I will thank you for your email and go ahead and say that there may be a future opportunity for us to collaborate if that's something you're interested in.